Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, nice to see you again. Welcome to my channel. It's me, Hartono, from English Education Department of Universitas Islam Sultan Agung, Unisula Semarang. Right, in this very good opportunity, I'd like to share you about how to prepare an English presentation. Right. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's start. Okay, now let's start first with the purpose of a presentation. Okay, when you assigned by your boss, when you assigned by your teacher to make a presentation, then of course there is kind of communicative purpose that you have to achieve, or at least that you want to achieve. What other? A presentation can be for informing, can be for arguing, can be for motivating, can be for entertaining, and others. So there are some different purposes, of course, depends on what you are assigned to. Okay. Then if you know about the general purposes, then we can have a specific purposes, or specific purpose, only one purpose. For example, if you are a marketer and you want to sell a product to your prospective customers, then the specific purpose of your presentation will be closing the deals. I mean that the customers agree to buy your product. Okay, if you want to make an joint agreement, for example, and you make a presentation, then your purpose, the specific purpose will be about getting the agreement. Okay, what your the party to sign a contract with you. So there are different purposes, specific purposes of presentations. But let me start now what the generic structures of presentations. Okay, in most cases, presentation has three main parts. Okay, presentation has three main parts. What are they? Number one, it always has an opening or introduction. Okay. Then number two, it always says the body or the main things that you want to deliver, the main things that you want to talk about. This is the body. And the last one, of course, will be the closings or conclusions. So again, in presentation, we find an opening or introductions, we mean the body of the presentations, and we may have the closings or conclusions. Right. So now let's go to the opening sections or opening parts of presentation. In opening parts, we can also identify some moves. Okay, in a discourse analysis, you can see that there's moves. Okay, in opening parts, we can identify some moves. Okay, number one, there is always a greeting in the very beginning of a presentation. So greeting is the first part in the opening section. And then if somebody is talking to strangers, or it is the first time he or she speaks before a group of people, then she or he has to make an introduction. So the introduction is the second part, second element in an opening. And number three will be about stating the purpose of the presentation, right? Because your audience need to know very quickly what you are going to talk about. Okay, and you have to tell them that you're coming there is to explain, you're coming there is to inform, you're coming there is to present new development of something, blah, blah, blah. So then you need to state the purpose of your presentation in the very beginning. Okay, in that case, in the opening part, opening sections. And if your presentation is going to be very long or complicated, then you need to give an overview about your presentation. Again, when your presentation is going to be complicated and there are many different sections or part of the presentations, it's going to be very long, so then you need to tell the audience, you need to inform the audience what things will be covered in your presentations. Okay, this is the opening part. Remember, there are 4 things that you are expected to do when you make a presentation. Number 1 is greeting. Number 2 is introductions. Number 3 is stating the purpose of your presentations. And number 4 is making an overview about the topic or about the cases, about the things, the body of your presentation that you want to deliver there. All right, now let's go more details in the parts of the opening. Number 1 is greeting, as I mentioned earlier, right? What do we have when we want to greet audience in a presentation? Of course, you know about this, okay? So you can say, for example, by good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You can say like this, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, shall we begin? Or good afternoon, everyone. If everybody is ready, can we begin right now? Or maybe, good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here today with you. Just like this, okay? Or perhaps you can use our customs. As a Muslim, you greet each other by saying, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's also a nice greeting, very good greeting. And Muslims usually use these greetings very, very well. Right, this is the greeting. And number 2, then you need to, again, if in that case that you speak to not to strangers, but to come to a meeting where you are not familiar with the people there, then you are expected to introduce yourself, right? So you can have, before I start, let me introduce myself. My name's blah, 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 okay? Or let me tell you a little about myself, everyone. My name is blah, 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 blah. And or perhaps before I begin, let me tell you a little about myself. I'm Hartono, and I'm from English Education Department of Universitas Islam Sultan Agung Semarang. So in that case, when you are from formal institutions, from formal company or for formal businesses, then you are expected to also introduce about the institutions, about the company, about the business where you are working in, or where you are, where you belong to, right? That introducing yourself and also introducing your company. And number 3 is that stating the purpose. Again, it is telling the audience what you are going to do there in the presentations. For example, you say, my purpose today is blah, blah, blah. For example, you have a new product from your company and you want to introduce the products to the audience, then my purpose today is to tell you about the new innovation that my company has made, okay, in blah, 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 for example, okay. So we can also say that what I want to do today is to share my understanding about the small-scale business in our country and how it affects the Indonesian economy as a whole, for example. So you are talking about the small-scale business, or in Bahasa we say UMKM, for example, and you want to see also the effect of it on the general life, the general economic life of a country, for example. So this is what the purpose, okay. Or just say, my talk today will be about blah, 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 okay. my talk this time will be about blah, 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 blah. That's the purpose of your presentations. Right, and the last one in opening section, you will have the overview. What is overview? Overview is the kind of summary, important points, parts or sub parts that you will, all the things that you will have to cover in your presentation. So this help audience to follow, okay, and predict what next, what points they are expecting to have from you. So in that case, we can say, first of all, I like to blah, 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 blah. And then I will move to blah, blah, blah. And then the next. So we have the first, second, third, and finally, for example. Okay, or firstly, secondly, thirdly, and finally. For example, as a teacher at Universitas Islam Sultan Agung, and today, my job of presentation or the purpose of presentation is telling the audience about my university. Then I will talk about first about the history of my university to give a kind of understanding about the institutions, and then I'll be talking about the programs or departments in our university, and then I'll be talking about how to enroll to be the students of university, and then I will be talking as a close. I'll be talking about the, for example, the tuitions and so on and so on. So that is the opening part. All right. For the body and conclusion, I think you can follow me again in another video. All right. Thank you for joining. See you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Tada.